Welcome to People and Power. I'm Juliana Rufus. On today's program, Spain's memory wars.
I do this because it hurts me, because they were humiliated, like my father was. They were executed.
When the law of historic memory was passed by Spain's parliament in 2007, it started a battle within the country over precisely what Spain should remember of its past. The law's main aim is to recognize the rights of those who suffered persecution or violence during the Spanish Civil War and the ensuing dictatorship of General Franco. But this battle for the truth has once again polarized Spaniards. More than 70 years on, can Spain heal its Civil War wounds?
Si algo ha caracterizado estos últimos años de gobierno socialista, ha sido el espíritu de revancha. Un espíritu de revancha que se ha visto reflejado en la llamada Ley de Memoria Histórica. Una ley cuyo único objetivo era pisotear las tumbas de quienes fueron víctimas de las atrocidades del bando republicano. Como dijo José Antonio, si España se quiere suicidar, nosotros se lo impediremos. Y si hay que recuperar España, como se hizo en el año 1936, o sea, con las armas en la mano, no os quepa la menor duda de que siempre habrá un puñado de valientes que sabrán ganar para las próximas generaciones y para la historia esta bendita tierra que fue grande cuando grande asombró al mundo. ¡Camarada! ¡España! ¡Una! ¡España! ¡Grande! ¡España! ¡Libre! José Antonio Primo de Rivera. ¡Presente! ¡Dios por Dios y por España! ¡Presente! ¡Arriba España! ¡Arriba!
Es que aquí esto lo estamos haciendo de una forma.
I believe we are dealing with this with dignity and respect. Nobody is after revenge, we have no hidden purposes. We simply want to give these people a decent burial and hope that it never happens again. If we don't do this right now, the next generation won't know what happened in 1936.
Porque si esto no se hace, lo que se está haciendo, la juventud no sabe lo que ocurrió en el año 36.
This is the San Rafael Cemetery in Malaga, in southern Spain. Between March 1937 and the 1950s, at least 4,500 people, allegedly opposed to General Franco's armed rebellion against the democratically elected Republican government, were executed here and buried where they fell. José Dorado's father was one of those killed.
I am sure that some young people do not know who Franco was. If we don't go on with this, it won't become Spanish history, and nobody will study it, and nobody will know what happened. They might even believe that Franco was a saint. Imagine that you read, "To God and Spain." You might think he was a good person, because he was defending Spain and religion. What else would you understand? We cannot forget our history. Here, none of the relatives looks for revenge. We just want everybody to know what happened here and all the facts to come to light. That's the only thing we want.
Today, mass graves are being discovered all over Spain. The grisly evidence of a war that the country is still trying to come to terms with.
The executions took place within the cemetery. At the beginning, they started doing it outside, and when they realized the huge numbers, they decided to do it inside, more secretly. Not only did they execute people against the walls, but also by the side of the graves. We know this because we've found bullets inside. So they would line the soldiers up next to the grave, and their bodies would fall in after being shot. We have also found bullets in their skulls, next to their bodies. Relatives come to visit the grave every day. Some bring flowers, ornaments, or symbolic objects to show their respect to their ancestors. Identifying them is the most difficult part. Sometimes it is impossible. There are so many remains together. Not even science can help. That's why it has been suggested to create a memorial with all their names in the cemetery.
As each grave is discovered and each body revealed, the conscience of Spain is pricked and political division exposed. The graves lay untouched for 30 years after the end of the dictatorship because they were seen as a threat to Spain's emerging democracy. Chiqui Benigas was one of the main negotiators for the Socialist Party during this period.
Bueno, era una
Well, first of all, I should say that it was a difficult situation because the dictatorship had been going on for 40 years. And all the political parties that were opposed to the regime were being prosecuted at that time, so there was not much we could do, really. We were all illegal citizens, and many of our members were arrested and imprisoned during those 40 years. By the time Franco had died, we realized that the dictatorship had very little chance of continuing without him. But when it comes to agreements, you cannot always obtain all you want from them, can you? It was positive, because Spain drew a line in time and forgot about its past. Well, not forgot its past, that's impossible.
Rafael Macia's uncle was executed by the nationalists in Alicante in 1939. The law of historic memory makes his trial and execution illegitimate, but not illegal.
En España se practicó el genocidio, o sea, eso está claro. La guerra civil sí que es verdad que todos cometieron desmanes y...
In Spain, it's obvious we had genocide. During the Civil War, both sides did terrible things, but when the war was over, the Francoists were the winners, and from that moment, there were many crimes committed by them. Thousands of atrocities that should have never happened.
Muchas barbaridades que no se tienen que haber cometido.
Many people died after the Civil War, my uncle among them. If you want, I can read you a letter. In the morning of the 15th of November of 1939, my uncle wrote, "Dear parents, brothers and nieces and nephews, fate wants me to pass away. It is a request from the dictator and all Spain will obey. I am sorry for you all, for you will face a criminal tyranny. I do not ask for bloody revenge. Goodbye forever. I will wait for you in eternity. Now it is time for me to die, and time for you to recover the battle against capitalism."
Yo a morir y vosotros a revivir la lucha contra el capitalismo.
Rafael believes that the injustices meted out to people like his uncle in 1939 have never been properly accounted for.
Now those families that have relatives buried in mass or unknown graves will have the chance to give them a decent burial. It was unfinished business. These families deserve to know the way their relatives died, or where they are. Also, the cancellation of those military trials. For example, my grandfather, who fought for freedom, was accused of being a rebel. Rebel against what? The fascists were the rebels. They carried out the coup d'etat. The military trial should be cancelled. That's the least they could do. It is not about revenge. We don't have to avenge anybody.
Today, Republicans fight to restore the honour of the Republic and the dignity of their dead. Rafael and his mother are attending a commemorative event in Alicante.
We also need to get back the memory of all the people that were objects, and I say objects, not subjects, of Franco's repression. Those that succumbed to him and those who survived. For them and for the Spanish people, we need to remember our own history. Only this will help us to get over the painful words of our poet. Downcast I am, look, downcast among my own people and its evils. Having a decent law for the recovery of historic memories is very important in Spain. You already know that here there are people and parliamentary parties that refuse to accept the true facts of what happened in the Civil War. We strongly believe that this sort of debt to society is taking too long to be paid and that a prompt end is needed. But we mean a fair ending for everyone, especially fair to the victims and to the memories of what the Republic meant and represented, which was basically democracy.
De todo corazón que los políticos de la derecha que ahora nos gobierna a todos aquí en esta comunidad se lo crean de verdad. ¡Viva la República y viva la libertad! ¡Viva!
On the streets of Alicante, a demonstration in support of the Republic and the victims of Franco takes place.
We are demonstrating for the democracy which was represented by the Republic, a democracy that protects the interests of the working and middle classes as well as just the interests of the rich guys.
I believe it's awful, because a nation must accept its past in all possible senses, so that there is peace and calm, and then we can somehow finish off this conflict we've got in Spain.
Concejalía de Urbanismo, por fin, después de 3 años, se nos han puesto, después de 3 años...
Y la gente suele preguntar, ¿se ha acabado la guerra? Sí, se acabó la guerra.
People still wonder, is the war over? I say yes, the war is over. But unluckily, we have not yet dealt with the consequences, the dreadful consequences of the war. By this I mean that we have not yet fixed the damages they caused. Not only material or economic, but also moral damages. We have not commemorated those that died for freedom and democracy the way they deserve. So it cannot be said that the war is completely over until these aspects are sorted out.
After the break, can Spain truly accept what happened in its civil war and how it will be remembered in the future?